The date and time set for hearing on defendant's motion to move minor children to central grade school and plaintiff's verified motion to change schools to Crawford Osable School District. Appearing at today's hearing via Zoom, there being no objections, is the plaintiff Samantha Zeidzik with her attorney Melissa Umulis and the defendant Jacob Zeidzik. And Ms. Umulis, did you wish to make an opening statement today?
No, Your Honor, I'll waive opening.
All right. Mr. Zeidzik, you filed your motion first. So, I mean, ordinarily that means you present your case first, although I see that we've got a principal in elementary school in the waiting room. So were you asking to call that professional out of order, Ms. Umulis?
I was, Your Honor, and I also have a teacher who's on standby. I told her I would text her when I was ready.
All right. So seeing as how these are professionals that probably have other things that they need to do with their business day, I'll permit them to be called out of order. So Mr. Zeidzik, what that means is that I'll hear the testimony of these professionals. Once I've heard that, then we'll go back to you and we'll hear your case. So that's the order at this point. And would you like Ms. Bergwall this time, Ms. Umulis?
I'm actually going to call Katie
Giglio, your witness.
Thank you. And Your Honor, before I get started with Ms. Giglio's testimony, I do have an exhibit, Plaintiff's Exhibit A, and I apologize. I identified them with letters instead of numbers. But I would like to admit both children's school files. They do have an affidavit of records custodian that is signed. So I would be seeking to admit those as self-authenticating.
Okay, that will be admitted. All right, thank you.
Okay. And what grade did you teach last year?
First grade.
Okay. And were you Emmett? And can you describe Emmett as a student?
Oh, he was one of my favorite students. Not that I shouldn't say that, but he was just a bottle of joy. So sweet, kind. He definitely loves to be the leader in the classroom. So I'd always give him jobs in the classroom to do. And anybody who would come in the classroom to visit, he would tell them, "Oh, I'm the leader in the classroom, just so you know." Very confident. Sure of himself, hard worker, wants to do the right thing. A lot of positive reinforcement is really good for him. He has a lot of energy. He's a boy. So he could have tendencies, to veer off to, maybe do things that he's not supposed to do. But that positive reinforcement really kept him on track to be doing the right thing. So for any future teacher that would have him, I would tell the future teacher, just give him jobs in the classroom, let him know that he is important, he has a role. Because if he knows that, he'll do a great job.
Okay. And how did he do academically last year?
He did well. He made a lot of growth. I think his reading level started at a level A. I think it ended at a D or an E. So we would have liked to see more growth in his reading, but that's just one subject area. But it is the main focus for first grade. So in all the areas, he made growth for sure. Math, writing, reading. And he got pulled for Title I for reading. So it was a 30-minute intervention every day. So if he went to Kingsley next year, he would get that again. So we would have liked to see more growth in his reading. So that's just the one subject area that is a little bit harder for him. But like I told Mom and Dad, if he gets that extra support at home and over the summer, 20 minutes a day of just reading out loud, I think he'll be okay and he'll get to where he needs to be. And each kid is just so different. And it just comes a little bit later for some kids. And I think it will come for him, but it's just not quite clicking there yet.
Okay. And you said that reading intervention was 30 minutes every day?
Yes.
And was that in the classroom or outside of the classroom?
That was getting pulled outside of the classroom. It's a Title I.
Okay.
So he got pulled usually with just one other kid or two kids.
Okay. And did he benefit from that?
Yeah.
One-on-one or 2-on-1 support?
Yeah, because he still is making growth, which is, as teachers and administrators, that's all you care about, is that the student is making growth. Sometimes it's not always how much growth, it's just that they're making growth. So I would say it definitely benefited him because he did make growth.
Okay. And how did he do socially in the classroom last year?
He did really well. He had a lot of friends, a funny kid, makes other kids laugh, is very good at creating relationships with other students. So really good.
Okay. And would you say he's a child who makes friends fairly easily, or is it difficult for him to develop relationships with his peers?
I would say fairly easy for him to make friends.
Okay. And to your knowledge, does Emmett meet with the school social worker?
Mrs. Ruby, he did meet, not, it wasn't consistent, like every single day he met with her, but he had met with her from time to time in the past.
Okay. And that's a social worker that Kingsley has on staff?
Yes.
Okay. And how did Emmett do last year in terms of his attendance?
Good. I mean, I don't know from the top of my head what his attendance was, but overall he was at school most days.
And in terms of student teacher conferences this spring, do you recall, did both parents attend student teacher conferences?
I always offered either a phone conference or an in-person. Not one was better than the other.
Mm-hmm.
So I recall I had a phone conference with mom, and I think didn't you come in? I think Emmett's dad was a face-to-face conference. And then we had a device called Dojo, which allows you to communicate with parents whenever you need to. So we use that as a form of communication, and they were both really good at getting back to me when needed. If I had any questions or concerns about anything. So of course, conferences are a couple times a year, but I talk to parents all throughout the school year, and they were really good at communication.
Okay. And does Kingsley have any paraprofessionals on staff?
Yes.
How many? Do you know?
I don't know from the top of my head.
And what is, for us non-educators, what is a paraprofessional?
Just somebody to assist kids that need extra assistance in the classroom, whether it's they have, an academic need or a physical need, just to get an aid or somebody to help them with that.
Okay. And was there a paraprofessional in your classroom last year?
There was not.
Okay. Do you know if there would be in the next grade up for Emmett?
It depends who is in his class. And I don't know if even they have created class list. It's possible that he could have one.
Okay. And does Kingsley offer sports programs through the school, through the elementary?
They have a wrestling program that they offer for boys. And I think they have like a football camp at some point. It's more like camps and stuff, because when you're in first grade, it's not like you're on a basketball team and that kind of stuff. So it's just camps. But they do offer sports.
Okay. And what time does school start at Kingsley?
8:15.
And what time does the school day end?
They're dismissed by 3:15.
Okay. And Kingsley has an extended day program?
Yes.
Okay. To your knowledge, did Emmett utilize that last year?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember, but he did do extended day last year.
Okay. And based on your observations of Emmett in the classroom, do you think that he would have difficulty adjusting to a new school if he were transferred?
No, I think Emmett has a very resilient personality, and I think he would do a great job wherever. I do think he does need like a little extra support and a little extra guidance, because with that, he's amazing. He really is. So I would just hope that whoever his teacher is, he gets a good teacher next year and can really invest their time. I would hope wherever he goes, they have like reading interventions. They would be able to get pulled out for that. I think that would be really important for him. But just based on his personality, and I think most kids that I find that young age, they just kind of adapt to their surroundings and they do a good job. And Emmett is a very confident little boy, so I think he would be just fine. Would it be an adjustment? For sure. But I think he'd be okay. But I would really want to look into like the interventions the schools had.
Okay. And apart from the reading intervention, did he have any other interventions last year?
No. He does well in math, but for math, it's going to get more complex with more words and more reading. So we just need to keep up the reading. So that will also help with the math.
Okay. And you said you gave both parents suggestions on work to do over the summer with Emmett.
Yes, I gave a ton of books home. I think I gave a math packet too, just for extra practice with that. So they have options of things to do. And I also just sent an overall sheet of different things to practice with your kids. Just for every kid got this, different things to do with your kid over the summer, just to help them be ready for second grade next year.
Okay. And I don't think we covered this, but what was your class size last year?
Last year was 22 students.
So one teacher, right?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know on average what the student to teacher ratio is at Kingsley?
It's about that.
Okay.
22 to 23, at most, maybe 24.
Okay. And anything else that we haven't covered that you think would be helpful for the court?
No, I just love him. He's a great little kiddo. I think he would do well wherever, but of course, selfishly, I'm like, oh, I want to keep him at Kingsley so I can see him next year. And I think sometimes you do have a lot of changes that are happening in a kid's life, keeping some things consistent as well. But also I completely understand the convenience for everybody else. And he is a resilient kid, so he would do well, at our school or a different school. I just would want to make sure that wherever he goes, he's going to get a little bit of extra support academically.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Is it Zijic? Is that how I should pronounce the last name?
Sijic, right?
Sijic. Okay, I'm very sorry, Sijic.
It's a tough one.
Mr. Sijic, did you have any questions for Ms. Giglio?
I don't have any questions. I just think it's
okay. Well, awesome. You'll have a chance to testify later. But since it's just a chance to ask questions for the witness if he had any. Since you don't, we'll go ahead and dismiss Ms. Giglio. So you're excused and you can go ahead and log off. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Emulis, next witness.
Okay. And then I would call Shauna Birdwell. And as principal, third year?
Yes.
Okay. And what grades do we cover?
We have young 5s through 4th grade.
And when you say young 5s, what is that?
It's a developmental kindergarten program. So it's considered a kindergarten year, but it's for students who are pretty young for kindergarten.
Elementary goes through 4th grade, you said?
4th grade, yes.
All right. And that's part of the Crawford-Oswego School District, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And what time does school start?
Class begins at 8:22. Their doors open at 7:55.
Okay. And what time does the school day end?
3:15.
And can you describe what the schedule is for extended breaks?
For the extended learning year program that we have?
The extended learning year and then also the holidays. Okay,
sure. So our traditional year starts in late August and ends in early June and has normal breaks like the Thanksgiving break. That's 2.5 days. We have a winter break. That's the week of Christmas. Spring break in the spring, and then some additional days off like professional development days, things like that. Okay. The extended learning year is 190 instructional days versus the 180. And in that time, they start in early August and end in late June. In addition to the regular school breaks for the traditional year, they also get 3 weeks off, one in October, one in February, and one in May.
And can you describe why, in general, parents choose to do the extended learning year program?
A lot of working families like it because it gives them a shorter summer for childcare and things like that. We like it because of the shorter summer. We have a summer slide, we refer to it, where a lot of kids experience a loss in learning. And with that shorter summer, that diminishes that. And also they have 190 days, like I said, so it's 10 additional instructional days that we have with them.
Okay. And for the regular school year, what date does school start in August this year?
August 29th, that Tuesday.
Okay. And what is the average class size?
We try to keep it around 18. They go up to 22 in some classrooms. They center around 20, 18. Some have 16, depends on the grade level.
And do you, by any chance, know what the 4th grade class size would be for this upcoming year?
Sure can. I can pull that for you, right? We are looking at about 20 in our 2021 in our traditional year and about 21-22 in our extended learning year.
Okay. And then what about 2nd grade for the upcoming?
And in 2nd grade, we are looking at 19 in our traditional year and 19 in our extended learning year.
Okay. And what's the total approximate school size? How many students attend?
About 630.
Okay. And do you have paraprofessionals on staff at Grayling Elementary? We
do. We have several. We have both classroom parapros that go in and support small group instruction during their differentiated instruction time. We also have parapros that support students one-on-one based on behavioral needs.
And so can you describe in more detail the paraprofessionals' responsibilities?
In the classroom, they work under the direction of the classroom teacher, and they typically host one of the centers that students rotate to during their small group time. So like a student might have a small group activity with the teacher and then might rotate to the paraprofessional center and do something with them, and then might rotate to an independent center. Okay. And then what about the one-on-one? There's very few and far between, and they have to meet a very certain criteria to have one of those, but those are through the district and typically students with IEPs and things like that.
Okay. And are those in classroom paraprofessionals in the classroom on a daily basis?
They are there on a daily basis according to a schedule.
Okay. Does Grayling Elementary have social workers on staff?
We do have a full-time social worker that's provided through our ISD. We have a social worker that works within our district. We share her with the middle school. We have her 2 days a week. And then we also have a social emotional learning interventionist full-time.
And can you describe what that social emotional learning interventionist role is?
Yep, she pulls small groups of students and works on them with SEL skills. She might work on, how to make friends. She might work on how to solve problems, things like that. She also hosts our room where kids come sometimes for a timeout or just a reset. They come there and she hosts that room.
Okay. And when she pulls students, is she pulling them in groups for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I should say she or he. And how often are kids participating in that social emotional learning?
Usually about once a week for those groups.
Any other either in classroom or out of classroom supports that students have at Grayling Elementary?
No, we do have in addition what we call our SRC Student Responsibility Center, and that is for students who are more intense and need more behavioral assistance. They come there and write a behavior plan, get back on track to get them back in class.
And is there a reading intervention program?
Yes, we have a pretty strong reading intervention program. We have 4 reading interventionists on staff, and they pull small groups of students throughout the day based on a schedule, all grade levels.
Okay. And what does a student need to qualify for that? How do they get into that program?
Yeah, we participate in NWEA testing, and we use that data along with some classroom data and historical data for students to be able to form those small groups based on student need.
Okay. And so one of the children, Emmett, that we're covering in this case, he received reading intervention last year at Kingsley. Would he automatically receive reading intervention supports just due to the fact that he received them last year, or would he require that going through the testing to determine that?
So everyone goes through the testing no matter what, and then we pull the groups based on that. So it's not necessarily because he received it in the past that he would definitely receive it again, but if he qualified there, I'm gonna make an educated guess that he would most likely qualify here.
Okay.
And there's not really a set number that we use. We use it just as one of the pieces of data we use to pull students.
Okay. And are there any extracurricular programs through school there?
We do have some after school club type things. We have like Healthy Kids Club. We have Girls on the Run Club. We have a Mighty Milers program where kids run in the spring. We have Invention Convention. It's kind of a STEM program, things like that. Those are all voluntary and after school. As far as like extracurricular sports teams, we do not have any of those at the elementary level. Those start at the middle school, but we do have community groups like soccer teams and t-ball and those types of things in the community.
And does Grayling have an extended day program?
We do, not before school, but after school. We have a private company that leases our space for an after school care program that lasts until 6 p.m.
And how would you describe the teacher retention at your school?
We do pretty well. In today's market, that's tough. However, we have teachers who have been here 20 plus years.
Okay. And in terms of ranking or student proficiency, can you speak to any of the data or that?
We do pretty well. We are one of the higher achieving districts in the area. Yes.
Okay. And how would you describe the Grayling community?
I would say very small, tight knit. People have lived here for a very long time. I'm a newcomer. I came here in 21, so I had to fit into a very long-standing community, but very, very small. And we have a couple of stoplights and high poverty. We have a high poverty rate here. Depend a lot on tourism dollars. Great people though, great school. Despite our poverty, we're able to achieve quite a bit.
And does Grayling offer field trips for students or school events or anything of that nature?
Sure. All of our grade levels participate in field trips on a regular basis. And then you asked about family nights. We have family nights. We have a math night. We have a reading night. We have like a family movie night. Our PTO puts on a fall event in October, different things like that throughout the year.
Anything else about the school that we haven't covered that you think would be beneficial for the court to know?
Nope, I don't think so. I think we covered it in a nutshell.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Mr. Sijic, did you have any questions for Ms. Bergwall?
Yes, just one. I was wondering, so everything you've gone over today, if I was looking to do some independent research, would I be able to find all of this information online?
You should, yes.
Alrighty. That was it for the question.
Okay, Ms. Emulis, any follow-up?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Bergwall. You're excused. You can go ahead and log off.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
At this point, Mr. Sijic, we will get into your case. The process will be, I'll swear you in. I may have some questions for you. You'll have the opportunity to give a presentation, explain your position. Ms. Emulis may have some questions for you. And that's basically the process for today. You were divorced in February. Is that when you started living at that apartment, or how long have you been living at that apartment?
So back on September 6th, so it was Emma's birthday. Full disclosure, I had a PPO served. So
You could just answer my question.
Oh,
How
sorry,
long
yeah.
have you been living at that apartment?
Sorry.
Yeah.
So since around September 16th of last year.
Okay. Emma, how old is Emma?
Emma's 9 and
Okay.
Emmett is 6.
Okay. And did they both attend elementary school in Kingsley this past year?
Yeah, so that would have been Kingsley area schools, the elementary school there. Yeah.
Okay. And so that was the 2022-2023 school year.
Yes, it would have been their second year there.
So was that their second year there?
Yeah, they started September of 2021. And then they went again this previous school year.
Okay. So then for Emmett, his first year would have been kindergarten in Kingsley. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I guess let's focus on Emma. Where did Emma attend school for first grade?
So that would have been at Heroes Elementary School on Camp Lejeune in North Carolina.
I see.
Yeah, that was.
That's fine. You answered it. And so did Emma complete first grade at that school by Camp Lejeune?
Yes, it would have been on base, so on the actual military installation there when I was still active duty and we lived on base.
When did you all move from Camp Lejeune, South Carolina?
North Carolina.
When did you move from North Carolina to Michigan?
So Emma, Emmett, and Samantha moved up in September of 2021 to start the school year. First day of school, being there the first day of school, and then I finished up the end of my enlistment. I visited in November and then in December, and then the honorably discharged would have been February 15th of 2022. But I had
and just could you repeat the month and year that you moved up here, because I didn't hear it.
No, so that would have been officially end of active service in the Marine Corps February 15th of 2022. But I had moved back on terminal leave, or it's like the grant. It's like similar to vacation, but it was a way to end my enlistment essentially on vacation. I moved up in January of 2022.
Okay, that's good. January 22. Thank you. And so when you moved up here in January of 2022, where did you live?
So it would have been at 12. We had officially closed on the home in November of 2021. And so they moved in, Emma, Emmett, and Samantha moved into the home. And eventually, I was home for good in January of, yep.
I understood. You moved into the marital home. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And at that time, was Emma in first grade?
So that would have been.
I'm sorry, was Emma in second grade?
Yes.
Okay. And was she attending second grade in Kingsley?
Yes.
Okay. And when you moved back in January of 2022, did you get a job?
Yeah, I ended up working at for On Point Carpentry. I was a carpenter apprentice working on buildings.
Okay. And when did you start working as carpenter's apprentice, would you say?
So it started in December. I kind of had a segmented leave, just the way it ended up working out. So I started in December. I had to go back to Camp Lejeune to finish some things out, and then I moved back January and continued working there.
Okay. If you're looking at that time frame, January of 2022, was Ms. Sijic employed?
Yes, with Munson Medical Center.
Okay. And was she employed full-time at that time?
Yes.
Okay. And when you were working as a carpenter, January of 2022, were you full-time?
Yes.
And you testified that a PPO got entered against you last September. Is that right?
I think the original filing was August 21st or 22nd, and then it was ultimately served at the marital residence on September 6th.
Okay. When did you move out of the Duke Hollow residence?
So that would have been on September 6th.
That's all I was asking. Okay. So did you work full-time continuously between January and September of last year?
January and...
So you testified that you were a carpenter. You were in January of 2022. You're in Michigan. You're a carpenter. Did you work continuously full-time between January of last year and September of last year?
Yeah, so there was I believe it was, so it would have been December through May. I worked for On Point Carpentry, and then I accepted a job at Munson Medical Center in May. Turned in my 2 weeks notice and transferred over there to Munson Medical Center in the pharmacy as a pharmacy support aide.
And your job as a pharmacy support aide, was that full-time?
Yes.
Okay. And did you work continuously full-time as a pharmacy support aide from May until September last year?
Yes, during that period, I would have been working full-time then.
Okay. Did Miss Sijic work full-time between January and September last year?
Yes.
While Emma was attending second grade, what was going on with Emmett as far as where was he during the day? Say January through June of last year.
So if Emma in second grade, Emmett would have been in kindergarten.
Okay. And was that also at Kingsley?
Yes.
Okay. So how did Emma and Emmett get to school? Not this school year, but when Emma was in second grade and Emmett was in kindergarten, how'd they get to school?
So they primarily rode the bus in the morning, and then it was either between myself, Samantha, or her mother, Susan. They'd be picked up from the bus stop.
Again, just kind of focusing on, I guess, maybe what I'll call the second semester of second grade for Emma. January of 2022 last year until June of 2022. Okay, you understand what time frame I'm asking about?
Yes.
Okay, so my question is, did you go to any parent-teacher conferences during that time frame?
So yes, I do believe that during that time.
Okay, that's all I was asking. I mean, was it one? Was it more than one?
I know they typically have two. I can't recall off the top of my head the months. I have tried to make a habit of either going in person or finding out about getting an update.
Okay, and if you're not sure, just say I'm not sure.
Okay, I'm not sure.
Fair enough. Okay. To your knowledge or recollection, again, between January and June of last year, did Miss Sijic go to any parent-teacher conferences?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Did you use the Class Dojo app at all?
Yeah, the Class Dojo app has been pretty beneficial.
Okay, that's all I want to know. Yep. How did you use the Class Dojo app during that period of time?
So I was able to download the app and then would go in and, their respective teachers be able to communicate with them.
And to your knowledge, same time frame, January through June of last year, did Miss Sidgwick use the Class Dojo app?
I believe she did.
Okay. Same time frame. Were you involved with any kind of class events or outings or parties or things of that sort?
Trying to think of, I can't recall a specific one, but I'm pretty sure I did.
Okay. Was during that January through June timeframe, was she involved in any kind of, class events, parties, field trips, things of that sort?
Yes.
Okay. And what makes you say yes?
So recalling, there were times where they had school performances or, get-togethers. And I remember both of us trying to make an effort to be there.
Okay, I'm not asking about making an effort though. I'm asking actually being there.
Yes. So no, at least one or both of us attended school events.
And we heard the testimony that Emmett, this past school year for first grade, we heard the testimony that he got some Title I assistance. To your knowledge, did Emmett get any kind of Title I assistance when he was in kindergarten, like, extra reading? Did he get pulled out, to your knowledge, anything like that?
I can't recall last year, but I, vividly recall, this year. With the
okay. So I was just asking about the kindergarten year. Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Okay. So, all right. So, and I mean, we heard the testimony. Sounds like Emmett had a really good first grade year. From your perspective, how did he do, his kindergarten year?
He did well.
You testified about, between that January through June timeframe, how pickups and drop-offs to school were. From your perspective, how was Emmett's attendance in kindergarten, second semester?
It was good.
Emma, she was in second grade at that time. How would you say she did in second grade at Kingsley?
She did very well.
And as far as attendance, how did it go for Emma?
Went well.
Okay, so did and you talked about there might have been some events for the kids, during that second semester of the 21-22 school year. Did either of the kids participate in any kind of extracurricular activities during that January through June timeframe last year?
I'm trying to think of, I can't recall for last year.
Okay. What about last summer? Last summer, did either of the kids, have any kind of extracurriculars?
They did. The YMCA camp.
Okay, one moment. Okay. And which of the children did YMCA camp last year?
They both went.
Okay. Well, was that what do you know, or I mean, what do you know about that camp?
So they, a lot of education, outdoors, kind of recreational activities and learning.
Okay. And was that a full day sort of thing?
Yes, as while we were both, me and Samantha were working.
Okay. And how did they get to and from that camp?
Pick up and drop off by either me or Samantha.
Okay. Were there any other extracurriculars last summer?
For the summer, not that I can recall.
Okay. And was there a cost for the YMCA camp?
Yes.
And who paid for it?
We both collectively contributed to the payments.
So what ended up happening with the PPO that you were served with? What happened with that case?
So that was ultimately, there was a reach an agreement. It was a stipulated order. I think it was something with Samantha had exclusive occupancy of a marital residence, and then there was some financial agreements as to amounts towards, I think it was the mortgage, the HOA.
Well, I don't need to know about the particulars, but what
Yeah.
happened to what happened to that PPO?
It was dropped, and then the stipulated order.
When did it get dropped?
I believe sometime in October.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And so you're saying as a part of that deal that Miss Sidgwick got exclusive possession of the marital home?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And so is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's when you started living at the apartment?
Yes. So
that's all I wanted to know.
Yeah.
All right. And so, I mean, of course, this would have been last fall. So that was the start of this most recent school year.
Yes.
So both kids attended Kingsley again for this most recent year. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess, how did they get to and from school this past school year? Well, no, strike that. How did they get to and from school? Let's just focus on the first semester of last school year. So do you remember the first semester, September until, the end of December? How was transportation handled?
So it was what is it called? The temporary custody order put in place time. So they were driven by either myself or Samantha.
Okay.
From school.
You answered it. Okay. And so when you say you or Miss Sidgwick, could you break it down into percentages as to how that worked out?
So it would have been going off of the dates for school. I had Tuesday pickup through Thursday drop off, and then every other Friday.
Okay, so you're saying that, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you had the children for overnights, then you would, do the transportation to school on the mornings that you had the kids?
Yeah, so drive and pick up on those days. Yep.
Okay. And was your parenting time under that temporary order the same as what it ended up being after the divorce?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Over there. And then there was also, I got them enrolled in Taekwondo.
As far as the Reigning Liberty Ranch, was that a weekend thing, or was that something that you do also during the week?
So it was periodically, after either on the weekends or after school, going over there.
And what is it?
So it's kind of a veteran outreach program. A lot of veterans go over there to, it's kind of a way for everyone to get together. There's different events for children also. They do a lot of community outreach through the Child and Family Services and other groups. And there was one in particular where Emma, was introduced to the horses and ended up learning how to, ride a horse, from how to, take care of them up into getting on one. Emmett didn't want to. He chose not to. So it was just Emma who did that one. Emmett had a run-in with a horse previously in the year, so he was a little apprehensive to be near or to get on a horse, but it was pretty cool seeing him at least be able to walk one around.
Okay. And then the Taekwondo, was that just a weekend thing, or was that also during the week sort of thing?
So started out, once a week going over there. Was a good way for them to, teaching structure and discipline and being able to learn moves. And, they got, started from beginner, and now they're, they have camo belts. So they progressed up and ranked up, and it was pretty exciting watching their development there.
Okay. All right. And so let's take a look, let's move to the second semester. Okay. So now we're looking at January through June of this year. Okay. That's our time frame. How long did it take you to get the kids, from your apartment to Kingsley?
Roughly 30 minutes.
Any changes, again, focusing on second semester, January through June this year? Any changes to your use of Class Dojo?
Nope.
College, was there a parent-teacher conference during this most recent semester?
Yes, there was.
Okay, was that the one that we heard Ms. Giglio testify about?
Yes.
So you attended in person?
No, actually, that was one where I wasn't able to attend in person, but I did follow up on the Class Dojo app.
Why couldn't you attend?
So I think the conference was at 6 p.m. and I was working until 5:45 p.m.
Okay. And were there any school events this, most recent semester that you attended?
Yes, there was a school performance, I believe, during that semester.
Did the kids continue to do the Reigning Liberty and the Taekwondo during this most recent semester?
Yes.
When did they get their camel belts?
I can't recall the exact month, but sometime during that semester.
Are you aware that forgive me, that Ms. Sijic is asking for the children to attend school in the Crawford Ensemble School District?
Yes, I did receive that.
Okay.
Yes.
When did you find out that that's what she wanted?
I think there was a text I received when I asked to move to central grade as a possibility.
Okay, so so do you remember when you got that text?
I can see if I can actually.
Okay, go ahead.
May 8th.
Okay, one moment. When did you file your motion?
That would have been, let me see if I can pull up the exact, either in May or in June, I believe, filed the motion. I'm trying to pull it.
It's okay. Let me ask you this. When you filed your motion, had you already received that text, about the Crawford School District?
Yes, it would have been following that.
Okay, all right. So, when did you first start to want the kids to go to Central Grade School?
So when I started my new job, it was becoming difficult, figuring out transportation for them to and from and be able to maintain the full-time job.
So could you give me like a month and year for when you first started to want that?
So it would have been around the February, March timeframe.
And is that February, March of this year?
Yes.
Okay, one moment. When you got the text from Miss Sijic on May 8th about the Crawford School, where did you think that she lived at that time?
So I didn't have an exact address.
Okay, let me ask you this. When you got that text, did you think that she lived at the Duke Hollow address?
So in May, it would have, Frederick would have been where she lived.
Why do you think that she was living in Frederick in May?
So I know there's one time that's where she said that her boyfriend at the time was in Frederick, and I can't recall exact conversations, but knowing that she was ultimately going to move there after the sale of the house.
And why did you think that she was ultimately going to move there after the sale of the house?
That's again, I can't recall exact conversations, but that's during the sale of the home process. That's where I found out that that's where she was moving.
Okay. And so when did the Duke Hollow house sell?
In February. So it was after, I can't recall exact months, but I know after mediation, started the process with the realtor and ultimately sold the house. And I think it was by February 17th.
Okay, that's fine. Am I correct in understanding that it wasn't surprising to you that Miss Sijic now lives in Frederick?
I saw it coming, and it was a little.
So you saw it coming. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry for the feedback. You testified that you started working I think it was the pharmacy area of Munson sometime around May of 2022. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. How long did you have that job for?
I think it was roughly 6 months.
Okay. And what do you remember roughly the month and year when you separated from that job?
It would have been November of 2022.
Okay. And were you without work for a period of time?
So there was a week there in between Munson Pharmacy and then the Books A Million bookstore.
And is the Books A Million bookstore where you started working after the Munson job?
Yes.
Okay. And how long were you at that job for?
Until around February, so January or February.
Okay. And was that a full-time job?
It started out full-time, and that was part of the reason for transitioning to the job I have currently was the hours, the reduction in hours and the inadequate pay in my assessment.
Okay. And so then after you separated from that employer, what did you do?
I applied and had found a position at Forefront Credit Union.
And how long did you work for Forefront for?
So I started February 6th, and I'm still currently employed there.
And is that a full-time position?
It is.
Are there any benefits?
Yes.
And what do you get for benefits?
So I currently have health and dental insurance now for Emma and Emmett through the Blue Cross network. And after another period of time, we'll be able to start contributing towards a retirement account.
Okay. Do you have any plans to leave that job?
I don't.
And you say you started working there around February?
It would have been February 6th.
Okay. Is there, do you work from home at that job, or do you have to travel to an office somewhere?
So it's the administration building on Front Street. So it's about 8 minutes away from my apartment.
Okay. Okay. And what was it about? And I think I heard you say that move or that job change was that part of the reason for your wanting the kids to go to Central Grade School?
Yes, for the proximity to where I worked, and where the hospital is, where Samantha currently works, I think part-time.
Okay. So you're saying it's close to your work?
Mine and Samantha's.
Okay, so it's also close to Munson.
Yes.
And to your knowledge, is Miss Sidgick, does she continue to be employed full-time at Munson?
I'm not sure about full-time, but I was under the understanding that she works at the family practice still part-time.
Okay. And are you under the impression that she's driving all the way from Frederick to Munson on 6th Street to work?
That was a Mondays and Fridays or something around parenting time for her.
So you're under the impression that she's making that drive on Mondays and Fridays?
As far as my understanding, yes.
And you get every other weekend, is that right?
Yes.
All right. So how do exchanges work right now?
It's at the there's a gas station on Hammond and Garfield that we've been doing the parenting time exchanges when they don't occur during the school. So during the school year, it's at school. And then when they're not in school, it's at the gas station on Hammond and Garfield here in Traverse City.
And your parenting time schedule, is there, forgive me, I haven't memorized it. Is there some sort of alteration that occurs during the summer, or is it the same as what is set during the school year?
So it's so during the summers, with school not being in session, the exchanges occur at the set times and dates based
Okay.
on.
So I guess my question is, are you still getting, even during the summer, for you, is it still every Tuesday until Thursday?
Yes.
Okay, so really no change. Is that what I'm to understand?
Yes, it'd be Tuesday at 5 p.m. through Thursday at 8 a.m.
Okay. And then you're alternating weekends, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So right now, for the exchanges that happen on Mondays and Fridays, to your knowledge, I mean, is Miss Sidgick in the Traverse City area on those Mondays and Fridays?
That was my impression, was that she's still working part-time at the family practice.
Okay. But what about the exchanges that happen on Tuesdays and Thursdays? To your knowledge, is Miss Sidgick coming from the Frederick area on those days for exchanges?
Yes.
Other than proximity, and so I guess at this point, do you have other reasons for why you would prefer that the children attend Central Grade School?
Thought of the, with being able to maintain, my full-time job and providing health insurance along with the proximity to where we both work, and with also having, I've toured the school, and I did conduct a period of research there, going over all the Traverse City area public schools. And I went with such Central Grade after that research, and it also works out. The bus comes to the apartment. They're friends. So my significant other, her two daughters currently attend Central Grade School, and I've heard nothing but positive things from them. They're familiar faces, so it seemed, for transitioning from Kingsley, having the summer to kind of bridge that gap or that absence of Kingsley, waiting the summer and then transitioning school, I thought would be a reasonable approach to moving to Central Grade, and trying to, it's a difficult decision anytime you change school, but going with a school in district at the end of with the consent judgment of divorce at the end, my residence, Traverse City, Samantha's residence, Traverse City, it seemed in my estimate to line up to where it would be a reasonable, even reading over some of the things here where, she has flexibility of schedule now. I thought it was a reasonable request to move them to Central Grade. I understood that there would be potential, disagreement. We disagreed periodically. So I offered, rather than just making a unilateral decision and moving them there, I offered through the conflict resolution service to go to mediation.
My question was, what were the other reasons for Central? So I think you said transportation. There's a bus that goes to your veteran apartment. Mm-hmm. Your significant other's children attend Central Grade School, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is Central Grade School, would that be the home school for where you live in the TCAPS district?
Yes, it's the one closest in proximity to my apartment.
Do you have are you on a lease for your apartment?
Yes.
And what is the duration of the lease?
12 months.
Okay. And when did you most recently, sign that?
Went through, would have been in May in May.
Okay. Anyone else's name on the lease besides, is your name on the lease?
Yes.
Anybody else's name besides yours?
Emily Hansen.
Okay. And is Miss Hansen your significant other?
Yes.
And do you have any plans to move?
Currently looking at potentially purchasing a home, currently in that process.
And where are you at in that process?
The infancy, just reached out to a lender and a realtor.
All right. Where do you want to move?
There's a, it's still here in Traverse City. It's about so it's close to where the Vasa Trail is. So it's what it would have been, Timberwood Drive. I don't have an exact address. Again, it was fairly soon. Do you need an address? I can pull it up in my.
Well, it's okay. I guess my question is hypothetically, say you move and wherever you move to might be in Traverse City, but it's not the Central Elementary, might not be the home school for the location that you move to. Would you want to move the kids to a different school in the TCAPS district at that point that's closer to the place you're going to move to? Or what are your thoughts about that?
So that one, we've already looked into it, and both of our jobs, would be able to, instead of the bus, just driving them. It's on the way to where I currently work. So I could take the children to school and then go to work.
So it would be your intention to keep them at Central regardless?
Yes.
What does Miss Hanson do for work?
She's a server at Rounds.
And how long has she been living with you?
That would have been since March.
And how long have you and Miss Hanson been in a dating relationship?
Would have been shortly after the end of the divorce, so in February, so 5 months.
And how many minor children does Miss Hanson have?
2.
Do you know their approximate ages?
5 and 9.
And does she have full custody or partial custody of those children?
So it'd be, I forget the percentage. It's so she has primary custodial custody. Her former spouse lives in Minnesota.
And when the kids are at the apartment, where do they sleep?
They sleep in the other bedroom. There's bunk beds.
When they're sleeping in the bunk beds, where are Emma and Emmett sleeping?
The other bunk bed. We have 2 bunk beds set up in the room, and there's times where there's another bed here in the apartment where they also have they can also sleep there.
I'm sorry, I guess I didn't catch that last part. What was that last part?
So right now, there's the children's room. There's 2 bunk beds set up, and then we also there's another bed set up in the living area in the apartment, where if they want more space, or there's another place for them to sleep if needed.
Got it. Okay. So was there additional information that you wanted to present today?
Not so I don't have any other additional information. I guess trying to think of the best way forward here. It took a good amount of time to think about it, and I did prepare wanted to be able to follow something I had written out. I haven't submitted it as evidence, but I was wondering if I could just read off what I have here that I prepared. I thought I had to do an opening statement. I guess I don't. But so this would just be a statement in regards to the both motions, I guess, refer to it as.
It is you have the floor.
Alrighty. So with this, I was looking at it, after careful consideration and review of both motions, respectfully request to keep our children, Emma and Emmett, in Kingsley area schools, remaining in Kingsley Elementary for their education serves the best interest of the children, as well as for myself and Samantha. Keeping our children in the same school will help maintain continuity of schedule, as well as familiarity of their social and educational environment. It seemed like that the disagreement that we were having as to choice of school, if moving to Grayling, is, simply not feasible for me, and if Central Grade is simply not feasible for Samantha, in order to reduce the possibility of a, unnecessary burden on either one of us, keeping them where they're familiar seems to be a reasonable solution. And then I also, kind of going off of some of the other information I was sent. To assist in the communication between myself and Samantha, I also agree to and support the request to use the Our Family Wizard app in order to effectively communicate with my co-parent, and then leaving cell phone communication there in case of emergent situations, but primarily using the co-parenting app to reduce conflict and improve situational awareness of all matters pertaining to the children, keeping in accordance with our joint shared legal custody. I certainly appreciate the effort on behalf of Samantha to agree to this app. I've been advocating for this, for the Our Family Wizard app directly with Samantha, as well as through counsel in front of the court since October of last year. So that is something that I think would benefit, all four of us, myself, Samantha, Emma, and Emmett.
Okay, thank you. And then what about Ms. Sidgick is asking to change the parenting time up. Did you have a chance to read that? Do you
I did.
agree or disagree?
Disagree?
Okay, all right. So you want to keep parenting time as is?
Yes.
Okay. Then did you want Emily Hansen to testify?
Was that for me or?
That was for you.
No.
Okay, all right. So do you rest your case?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Ms. Sumulis, I think we've been going for quite a while, so we're gonna take about a 10-minute break right now. Did anybody need a breakout room?
I do, please.
Okay, so I'll send a breakout room invitation. Mr. Sidgick, I'll put your device in the waiting room. And Sidgick, Ms. Sumulis is going to have the opportunity to ask you some questions now. Ms. Sumulis, your witness.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Sidgick, you testified that you're currently working at Forefront, right?
Yes.
What's your position there?
I'm a communication center specialist.
And you've been working there since February of this year?
Yes.
And what are your work hours there?
So it'd be 8 to 5:30 one week, and then the following week is a weekend week. So that's 8:30 to 5:45 Monday through Wednesday. Thursdays are off. Friday 8:30 to 5:45, and then I work on Saturday. So 80 hours bi-weekly.
So just so I have it straight, 1 week 8 to 5:30, and then the following week it will be 8:30 to 5:45 Monday through Wednesday, right? And
Yeah, I'm sorry.
say the
first
Friday
week,
and Saturday hours again on the second week.
so Friday is during a weekend week is 8:30 to 5:45,
Okay.
and then Saturday is 8:45 to 2:15. And so I set that up to have my weekends on the time that the children are with Samantha. And the non-weekend week is 8:30. My weekends on the time that the children are with Samantha. And the non-weekend week is 8:30 to 5. I think I misspoke there.
So your alternating weekends under the current parenting time schedule are on those weeks that you do not have to work on the weekend, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you work in the office, you said, on Front Street?
Yes, the admin building there on West Front Street.
Okay. And this is now your third job since you and Samantha separated last fall?
Or you're talking about in August when it started, or
Yes.
February when?
August, September.
That would have been, yes. So from August, it would have been months in, and then Books A Million, and then now Forefront.
Okay. And you testified about going back to the second semester of last school year, so the 2021-2022 school year. So from January to June of 2022, you testified that there were no changes to how you and Samantha were doing transportation of the children to school. Do you recall that?
Yeah, so this would have been when I initially transitioned out. We were using the bus stop there, kind of like the halfway point between Duke Hollow and the school to get them to and from school.
Okay, I'm sorry that I'll withdraw that question. I actually had the wrong time frame. So you testified that this school year, second semester, you had no change to transportation, meaning January of 2023 until end of the school year, that you would continue doing what you had previously been doing regarding transportation to and from school?
No, with the change there was, pick up and drop off, driving to and from Kingsley.
Okay, and your girlfriend became involved in pickup and drop off once the two of you began dating, isn't that correct?
Yes.
How often was she doing pickup and drop off since
So
February of 2023?
So between her and then, my parents also assisted, in order to, be able to work full time. They did help with pickup and drop off going to and from Kingsley to my apartment.
So who was taking the kids during your parenting time to school in the mornings?
So it would have been there were times where I did, there were times where my parents did, and there were times where Emily did. So
And same thing with after school?
yes, there were times where I would pick them up or my parents would, or Emily would.
More often than not, was it your parents or Emily?
More often it would have been my parents.
Where do your parents live?
They live in East Lansing.
How were they able to assist you with transportation if they live in East Lansing?
They would drive up and stay with me.
How often?
I don't have specifics, but enough to be able to, help when needed.
Weekly?
There were times where it was weekly, and there were times where I would, do the pick up and drop off myself.
Are either one of them employed?
My parents, they're retired.
Okay. And they own a home in East Lansing?
Yes.
Do they own any property up here?
No.
No, okay. In April of this year, there was a parent-teacher conference, correct?
Yes.
And you did not attend that parent-teacher conference?
No.
You did not set up a call with the children's teachers?
No, I used the Dojo app to reach out to them.
And you testified earlier that you had been using that Dojo app not this past school year and the previous school year, the 2021-22 school year. Is that correct?
Yes, and I think I did misremember there. I apologize. I don't think I did use the Dojo app the first school year. I was having difficulty recalling that far back.
Because in fact, you didn't use the Dojo app until after you and Samantha separated in or around September of 2022, correct?
That would have been when they started the school year.
And so that's correct. You did not use the Dojo app the 2021-2022 school year.
The first school year, no.
Okay. And you specifically requested, or Samantha provided you with the Dojo login information last year, correct?
I don't recall that.
Okay. Your Honor, if I could pull up a message.
Granted.
And when was this one?
So I think my text messages are out of order here. So here's a message dated October 10th this would have been of 2022. Do you recognize this communication between you and Ms. Sidgwick?
Am I the gray text? I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
And is that in October? Can you scroll back
Yep.
up? Sorry.
So October 2022.
Yeah. So was it in October I asked for again, sometimes it's
Yeah. So do you recall telling Samantha that you had not received any emails or notifications from their teachers in this text in October of 2022?
If that's what I sent back in October, then I assume that I had asked. Again, I can't recall.
Okay.
But if it's there and screenshotted, then it would have been me saying that. Yeah.
Okay. And then this was part of the same message, just out of order in terms of screenshots, but you told her after that you would get the Dojo app, correct?
If that's what it says there, then yes, that's what I would have said.
Okay. I'll take that down then.
Okay.
You testified that the kids were participating in Taekwondo, correct?
Yes.
They haven't participated in Taekwondo since January of this year, right?
Trying to remember when we stopped going. I can't remember the exact month, but I know we stopped. It was around the time where, no, so it would have been, I believe it was sometime in February. So they graduated to the advanced taekwondo, and the schedule didn't line up with the work schedule I had. Sorry, my phone's dying. So I think it was February that we stopped going to taekwondo.
Okay, and they aren't going for the summer to taekwondo, right?
This summer, no, they're not in taekwondo.
Okay, and the last time that you went with them to that Reigning Liberty was at least as far back as December of 2022, correct?
I can't recall.
Do you recall any times that you've been to Reigning Liberty with the kids after January of this year?
So we haven't been there, again, I can't recall the exact month that we stopped going there. Probably sometime after February.
And that Reigning Liberty, when you took the kids there, that was so you could attend your VA appointments, correct?
No.
Did you attend VA appointments while you were at the Reigning Liberty?
The VA's at the Colonel DeMoss clinic on, I can't remember the road, on 31.
Okay, so please answer the question. When you would take the children to the Reigning Liberty program,
Yep.
Would you attend a VA appointment while the children were involved in that program?
No.
Ms. Umulus, your witness.
When you took the children to that Reigning Liberty program, was there someone else who would watch them for at least a portion of their participation in the events there?
Oh, okay, yeah. So there was one time where I went to the VA clinic in town to attend a counseling session, and the owner of the ranch did watch the Emma and Emmett for, the short amount of time I was there to attend a counseling session.
And was that a regular occurrence or was that a one-time occurrence?
That was one time.
Okay. And you said your phone is dying. Do you need to plug that in? Sorry, I just really wanted to make sure we didn't lose him.
Yeah, let me just.
And you testified earlier that you have health and dental coverage for the kids through your employment with Forefront. Is that correct?
Yes.
You never told Ms. Sijic that you have the kids insured under your policy, right?
I can't recall if I sent it to her directly. I notified the friend of the court, and Samantha's been using the Blue Cross network for medical appointments. So I am assuming that she's aware of my health insurance and dental insurance.
You never gave. Oh, just if you would answer the question, did you ever notify her that the kids are signed up or through insurance under your Blue Cross Blue Shield policy?
I can't recall directly texting her about the health insurance.
And
No.
you didn't provide her with the health insurance card for your Blue Cross policy, correct?
To my recollection, not directly, no.
And isn't it true that she provided you with the Medicaid information for the children in or around March of this year?
Would that have been I believe she did.
And so you started your job at Forefront in February of this year?
Yes, I did.
And so when Ms. Sijic sent you her Medicaid information for the children in March of this year, you didn't think to inform her that you had the children signed up through a Blue Cross policy?
The policy started in May.
And you didn't notify her in May that you had them on that?
Again, I notified the friend of the court. I don't think I directly texted her that I had health insurance. Again, I can't recall a direct text to her.
You're aware that she's required to provide health insurance for the children under the terms of your judgment of divorce, correct?
You said she's required to do so?
Yes.
Yes, I thought that she had lost her health insurance. Again, I'm not sure.
Where was her health
You're
insurance
asking.
previously through?
So it would have been through Munson, through the, think it's Priority Health.
Okay. I thought you testified earlier that you thought she was still working at Munson.
Yes, the shift from full-time to part-time, and typically you lose benefits during that,
Okay.
to my understanding.
Are there any premiums associated with your Blue Cross policy? Do you have premiums deducted from your paychecks at work?
Yes,
Did you provide that information in front of the court?
I did.
To your knowledge, did they issue a notice of a percentage that Samantha would now be required to contribute to that health insurance premium?
I don't know what correspondence they would have sent to Samantha.
Did you receive any correspondence from front of the court about an adjustment to the premium on your support order?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately how much that was?
The adjustment, I think it was, again, I don't have the paperwork in front of me. I know it was reduced. I think it was from 300 something to 90 something. I think I paid 91.
Your total monthly obligation is now approximately $91 per month.
Yes.
Whereas before the premium adjustment, it was approximately 300 and something a month.
Yes.
Okay. And this all occurred after Ms. Sidgwick informed you that she had the children and covered under Medicaid, correct?
She gave me the paperwork, the Medicaid paperwork, yes. And then through my employer, I was able to provide health insurance for them. And when I received health insurance in the cars, I notified the front of the court that that's what I was able to achieve through my employer.
Okay, that's fine. Regarding parenting time exchanges during the school year, the parenting time exchanges that took place at school at the end of the day for the last school year, were those you picking up the kids from their aftercare extended day program?
Yes.
And what time did that end at Kingsley?
So it ultimately ends at 6 p.m. So sometime before then they'd be picked up.
Okay. And was that you picking them up or your girlfriend?
So between myself, my parents, or Emily,
Okay.
Again, out.
And in terms of the summer exchanges right now, your girlfriend is transporting the kids to the parenting time exchanges with Samantha. Is that correct?
There's been a few where she has.
Isn't
Not
it
all
true
of
that she's providing transportation for more than 50% of the exchanges?
I don't know about more than 50%. I know I've been present for, the majority of them.
So it's your testimony that you are present for the majority of the summer parenting time exchanges.
Yes, again, I don't have it annotated how many I've shown up for, but
Where do those take place? You said on Hammond?
at the Shell gas station at Hammond and Garfield.
And what time do those take place?
Those are 5 p.m. for afternoon and 8 a.m. for mornings.
Okay. And so you testified earlier that your work schedule during one of your work weeks is, I believe you testified 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. So how are you doing the exchanges at 8 a.m. and 5
He
p.m.?
corrected his testimony to reflect that it's 8:30 to 5.
8:30 to 5.
Yes.
So on the 1 week where you do not work weekend hours, it's 8:30 to 5 p.m.
Yes.
Okay. And so how are you doing the 5 p.m. exchanges if you're at work until 5 p.m.?
There's been times where I've had to leave work early to pick them up.
Okay. You've been with your girlfriend, Emily, since February of this year, correct?
Yes, after the divorce was finalized.
And she moved into your apartment in March of this year?
Would have been March, yes, sometime in there. I don't remember an exact date.
Okay. How did you meet her?
So we originally knew each other from high school, and then we reconnected.
And her two kids are also living with you in your apartment, correct?
Yes.
How many times have you and Emily broken up since February of this year?
How many times have we broken up?
Mhm.
What does that have to do with? I'm curious as to what. I don't have a number. I don't recall ever actually breaking
I'll
up.
overrule the objection. It goes to factor E.
So there was a period where we did separate temporarily,
When was that?
I don't recall an exact date.
She moved out?
She temporarily went to live with her sister.
Was there any police? There was police involvement during that time, correct?
There was one moment where I drove over to the sister's house to collect my key. I supported law enforcement's involvement in an effort to get my apartment key back to avoid future conflict. It was resolved and I went back to my apartment without incident.
So you drove over to Emily's sister's house at, what, do you remember? It wasn't at approximately 5 a.m. in the morning, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you drove over to her sister's house at 5 a.m. and you were banging on the door, correct?
I never got out of my truck. I was in the parking lot.
How did they know you were there to call the police if you were in your truck the entire time?
I was texting with them the entire time.
They asked you to leave, correct?
I had asked for my key back and then I'd be in the parking lot, and I supported law enforcement's involvement in an effort to get my apartment key back. Yes.
Okay. If you could listen to the question, how did they know that you were there if you were in your truck the whole time?
I texted them and asked them I would not approach the door. I'm in the parking lot, and if they could just bring me my key.
And you didn't call law enforcement, did you?
They said that they were planning on, and I said that I support that decision.
And law enforcement actually showed up, right?
They did.
And they asked you to leave the premises.
They did not.
Did you leave the premises?
Ultimately, yes.
And there was another occasion where you requested a civil standby or for a law enforcement officer to accompany you to return Emily's clothes to her, correct?
Yes, I wanted to bring her some of her children's clothes and some of her clothes while she was with her sister. And I wanted to make sure, to avoid conflict, that there was a civil standby.
Was there a PPO in place at that time?
No.
Had there been a history of physical violence between you and Emily?
No.
Why would you feel the need to have an officer accompany you to drop off her personal belongings?
Because of her sister.
You have conflict with her sister?
I did, and it's been resolved.
Did her sister seek a PPO against you?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did Emily ever seek a PPO against you?
She did not.
And when that officer accompanied you for the civil standby, the kids were in your car, correct?
Yes.
So Emma and Emmett were both in your car and saw the officer assisting you with dropping off Emily's things.
Yes, and I let them know that I was having law enforcement there to drop off their belongings.
Why didn't you wait until they were with Miss Sidgick to do that exchange instead of involving them with the officer?
Because they trust their father, and I wanted to ensure that Emily had the things that she needed.
That first incident where where law enforcement was called when you went to her sister's apartment, where were the kids then at 5 a.m. in the morning?
My parents were in town and they were in the apartment.
Okay.
My parents were in the apartment when my children were in the apartment, and to let my father know what I was doing.
Okay. And you and Emily have separated or broken up multiple times since February of this year, isn't that right?
No.
Are you aware that Emily has reached out to Samantha directly about these?
Yes, I remember Samantha asking them to help her with filing a PPO, yes.
And so it's your testimony that you've only separated or broken up with her once since February of this year.
So there was a trial period where she went to live with her sister in order to, create some space and work on conflict resolution.
What's the conflict?
Merging two families together during a tumultuous time with our formerly known as spouses.
You only knew each other for a month before you moved in, or you only had been dating for a month before you moved in together, correct?
So a little over a month. Again, I don't have definite dates of when she moved in.
Okay. And you testified that you're looking into purchasing a property in, you said in the Timberwood. Is that a neighborhood or a road?
So it's near the Vasa Trail. Give me 1 second. It's, the Timberwood area here in
Okay.
Traverse City.
And so would Emily and her children, would the plan be for them to move with you into that home?
Yes. Do you mind if it looks like my battery's at 3%. Can I run and go grab a charger real
Yes.
quick? I'm sorry.
Yes, please do.
The home that you're looking to purchase in the Timberwood area, would you and Emily be purchasing that together?
Yes. The home purchase is currently, in its infancy, so it's not a guarantee one way or another. It's just that we are currently pursuing a home purchase.
And you're currently renting your apartment, correct?
Yes.
And what's the approximate square footage of that apartment? Do you
I
know?
don't have that number.
Okay, and so if you move to this home in Timberwood, there wouldn't be any busing to Central Grade School, correct?
Again, it's in its infancy. I haven't looked at the bus route for Central Grade with
Just yes or no, is there any busing from Timberwood to Central Grade School?
not that I'm aware of yet.
Okay. Have you had noise complaints recently in your apartment?
Not recently, no.
When was the last time you had a noise complaint?
A couple months ago.
How many noise complaints would you say you've had since January or February of this year?
Under the previous property management, there was, I think, 2, and I reached out to the property manager and there was no issue moving forward.
Isn't it true that you told the kids that if there was another noise complaint that you'd have to move
Well,
in?
I mean, this sounds like hearsay, Miss Umulus. I mean.
I'm asking what he told the kids.
Well, I mean. All right, I'll allow it. Go ahead.
Isn't it true that you told the kids that if there was another noise complaint that you would have to move into a hotel?
No.
Regarding class events last year for school, you testified you couldn't recall if you attended any or any school events.
Was this the 21-22 school year or this most recent school
Well,
year?
let's talk about each separately. For 2021, 2022, you don't recall attending any class or school events that year, correct?
I believe there were performances. I can't recall that far back the specific event.
And for 2022, 2023 school year, what, if any, events did you attend?
There was a holiday event, another singing event, and then I had wanted to go. I signed a volunteer consent form. I had hoped to go to Mackinac. I forget what the other one was, but there was with the show cause hearing and other, it was not able to.
You did not go to the Mackinac event.
No, I had submitted paperwork in order to go, but there was a show cause hearing that day, so I wasn't able to.
Okay. So speaking of the show cause hearing, you testified earlier that you would be agreeable to use Our Family Wizard, correct?
Yes.
And your testimony was that you have been advocating for Our Family Wizard. Do you recall that?
Yes, since approximately October of last year.
Isn't it true that you filed a parenting legal custody violation complaint with friend of the court, alleging that Samantha was only communicating with you through Our Family Wizard and you only wanted to communicate by text?
So we're using the app close, the free app, and the Our Family Wizard is the paid one with, you can have certified copies sent to the front of the court. So I'm not sure if there was a not understanding which app, but the Our Family Wizard is the paid one. With it, I think it's like a monthly payment or a yearly payment. So I wanted to use that one, but because the free one wasn't conducive, or I didn't want to use the free app, so I wanted to use the primary means of communication, and that's in the, it has primary means of communication being via text, alternatively using a app.
We just appeared for a show cause hearing last month before referee Hagan. You recall that, correct?
Yes.
And the issue at that show cause hearing was you alleging that Samantha wanted to communicate through an app, regardless of whether it was Our Family Wizard or app close, and you wanted to communicate via text only.
The issue was that she had blocked my phone number, so I wasn't able to communicate at all.
The court didn't find her in contempt after that hearing, correct?
No,
Okay. Isn't it true that you communicated to Samantha that you did not want to use an app, whether it be Our Family Wizard or App Close, to communicate with her?
I didn't want to use the app close one. I wanted to use the Our Family Wizard, and I even offered to pay her half if she wasn't able to.
May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
Yes. I mean, he didn't present any testimony in his case in chief on the show cause issue, so I was just going to dismiss it.
Oh, that's already been addressed. That was already
Okay.
addressed by referee Hagan. I see that it's
Okay.
noticed.
All right.
But I believe his testimony is that he's been advocating for Our Family Wizard since October, and that's contrary to everything that was addressed in that actual show cause. So I was trying to find the actual Mr. Sidgwick, you filed a parenting time or a legal custody violation complaint in or around February of this year, correct?
I remember submitting several parenting time violations. I can't recall the exact month and date.
Okay, well, maybe I can pull it up for you.
Okay.
Okay. So this is an email from you to front of the court, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and in this email, you state the alternative, an app, I do not agree, as she constantly tries to video chat through the app. You were requesting enforcement of communication by text, correct?
Oh, yes, that one would have been referring to the free app. I didn't put the name of the app in there, so that, small discrepancy there. I should have listed. Yeah, so that's referring to the app close. I didn't want to use the free app.
You didn't suggest in this email Our Family Wizard, did you?
No, so I didn't mention Our Family Wizard in that.
Okay, and you didn't mention Our Family Wizard at the show cause hearing last month, correct?
There wasn't enough time to say anything during that one for me, other than I agreed with what the friend of the court said.
You've been aware that Samantha wants to communicate through Our Family Wizard for months, right?
No.
She was sending you Our Family Wizard messages in February of this year.
So there's the free app close.
Okay, if you could respond to the question, was she or was she not sending you messages through Our Family Wizard in February of this year?
Not through Our Family Wizard, no.
Okay. I'll move on. Since February of this year, Emma and Emmett have been sick a good amount of times, correct? Have they been ill or sick and had to stay home from school multiple times since February of 2022 or 2023?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, they've gotten sick periodically.
Okay. And there were times when Ms. Sidgwick had to take time off from work to stay home to take care of them, right?
Yes.
And there have been times when Ms. Sidgwick reached out to you to see if you could assist in staying home with them. This was when she was working at Munson, and you said no. Correct?
You said there was a time she requested me to take the kids, so
When they were sick, so that she could go to work at Munson.
would this have been during her parenting time?
Yes.
Wouldn't that mean that she's responsible during that time for them?
Those were dates when you guys exchanged at 5 p.m. So for example, if they were sick on a Wednesday and you were to pick them up at 5 p.m. on a Wednesday and she asked you to care for them during the day, you declined.
Wednesday would have been my parenting time and I would have been responsible for them.
Or I'm sorry, on a Thursday, if Thursday was her parenting time.
Yes, if Thursday was her parenting time, then that would be her parenting time. I'm not understanding.
So there have been times you have been unable to assist her with caring for the kids or taking time off work when they're sick.
When the kids are sick during my parenting time, I'm able to take off work and look after them. Again, I'm not understanding what you're asking.
Who is watching the kids this summer when you're working during the weekdays?
During the weekdays?
Yeah.
So it's been either my parents or Emily.
Okay. That at your apartment?
Yes.
Does Emily stay home to watch the kids when they're sick during the school year?
Are you saying in the future is she going to?
No, in this last school year, did she stay home to watch the kids when they were sick?
I can't recall a date that they've been sick and she's watched them.
But you aren't certain?
I know there's been times where Emily has watched them during the day. I don't know if that was a day that they were sick or not.
Okay. And so you're relying on her to help with transportation and caring, providing childcare, correct?
At times, yes.
There was a PPO entered against you on behalf of Ms. Sijic in February of this year, right?
Wasn't that dismissed?
Please just answer the question.
I'm sorry. Yes, there was.
Okay. And so you acknowledge that Emma and Emmett have done well in Kingsley schools since you and Ms. Sijic enrolled them there in 2021, right?
Yes, they've been doing very well.
And are Emma and Emmett attending any summer camps during your parenting time this year?
I know they have a camp they go to out in Grayling, not a summer camp during my parenting time now.
Okay. And are they participating in any structured activities during your parenting time over the summer?
Yes, at the apartment, and we do travel and visit historical sites or the beach or any sort of other fun activity during the summer.
I have nothing further.
Okay. Mr. Sijic, did those questions prompt any additional responses that you wished to make? If it's okay, you have an opportunity to do that if you'd like.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Emma or in the other.
Miss Umulis just asked you some questions. Did those questions prompt any additional response that you wanted to make?
Yes. I guess I'm not understanding why rehashing prior PPOs for a school change is necessary, or calling into question my, transportation. I'm right now technically a single father trying to work a full-time job and provide health insurance. And, I guess, it takes a village. Reaching out and using my parents who are currently retired and have offered to help, having a significant other who, loves and respects our children, offering assistance to make sure that everyone's supported, not just me and Emma and Emmett, but also Samantha. So we keep with the order and the kids are supported. I guess I'm not understanding why we're rehashing, or it seems more like a lack of a better term, trying to portray me as a.
Okay, Mr. Sijic, now you're just kind of, you're getting more into argument, and this is not the time for closing argument. So it sounds like that you responded, and that's your counter statement of facts. Ms. Umulis, any more questions for the witness?
No.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sijic. You are excused, and we will move on. Ms. Umulis, you may call your first witness. I guess it's not your first witness. You may call your
My
next.
last one. I'll call Ms. Sijic, please.
Ms. Umulis, at your discretion.
All right, thank you. Ms. Sijic, I'd like to go over some questions about your work history. So beginning with September of 2021, when you and Mr. Sijic relocated to here to Michigan, where were you working starting in September of 2021?
I had actually accepted the job at Munson in August of 2021, but unfortunately Jacob became ill with COVID and pushed the date back to September. The children and I moved up to half of the load of the house. We moved up to stay with my parents in Traverse City, Michigan, and Brownbridge, close to Kingsley. I began work on the 13th of September. We had moved up just prior to Emma's birthday, so right before the 6th.
And where did you begin work at?
Munson, as a medical business associate at the family practice.
Was that full-time?
Full-time, full benefits.
And how long were you at that position as a medical business associate with Munson?
That just ended on June 12th of this year.
Were you full-time that entire time?
No, ma'am. I dropped to part-time once I moved out to Frederick. It was not suitable with how sick the children were and commute cost of gas and whatnot.
And when you were working part-time, when did that begin, in February of this year?
That began March.
Okay.
I want to say March 13th.
And that ended June 12th.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Where are you currently employed?
I'm a self-employed personal trainer and fitness nutrition coach at Fit North in Grayling, Michigan.
Is Fit North your LLC or business?
No, mine is Stronger Fitness.
Okay. So Stronger Fitness, is that a limited liability company?
Yes.
Okay. And if I understand it, do you work out of Fit North?
Yes, we're contracted
facility?
for. Yes.
Okay. And can you describe what your work entails?
Fitness instruction, meal planning, personal training, programming, maintenance of the equipment around here. If I use any of the facility equipment, we clean it and make sure it's stored away, clean the floors every once in a while.
And where is the Fit North facility located at?
I don't know the exact address, but it is on North Down River Road in Grayling.
In Grayling.
Mhm.
Okay. And what is your work schedule like?
Whatever I want it to be.
When did you start that business?
Contract began on May 1st. We were in negotiations in February and March. In April, unfortunately, the owner's father passed. We were just kind of on a hiatus. First day was May 1st, and I went full-time here starting June 12th once I stopped working at Munson.
Since June 12th, can you describe for us on a weekly basis what your schedule is looking like? Does it vary? Do you have the ability to, how does that work with your appointment?
So I have complete control over my schedule. I typically run on the days that I do have the kids. Summer camp starts at 7:30, so my first class of the day isn't until 9. That way I can get them to camp and get back. Apologies, I'm on a timed light. The days that I don't have the children, I run from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Typically have clients midday between 11 and 3. I have twice a week classes at 3:30. I work Saturday mornings for a half hour.
And are you able to tailor your schedule around the children's appointments or their activities?
That was a big part of actually starting this back up, was that I could tailor my day around their schedules and their needs. It's very easy for me to step out for an appointment or take the day off for a sick day because, again, I'm in charge of my schedule and when I train and when I teach.
And if they were to become ill during your parenting time and you had clients scheduled that day, would you have the ability to reschedule those appointments?
And very much so. It's in the personal training contract that everybody signs.
Okay.
That if it's less than 24 hours, I have a certain policy on makeup. And it was, this was what I did before we moved to Michigan. I was contracted at a base in North Carolina. So I had about 4 years of that contracting before we moved up.
Okay. And then were you also providing personal training services while you were working either full-time or part-time at Munson in Traverse City?
Yes, ma'am. I worked part-time at the Grand Traverse Bay YMCA. I would work after my shifts on Wednesdays.
Okay.
After the divorce. Prior to the divorce, I think I was teaching Monday, Wednesday, Saturdays.
And when you were working full-time at Munson, what were your hours like then?
We had a cycling every month. It would change. It was either an 8 to 4:30, an 8:30 to 5, or a 9 to 5:30.
And was there much flexibility in that schedule?
None whatsoever. I burned through PTO so quickly with kids' sick days and holidays.
Okay. You said that was one of the reasons for the change.
Yes, very much so.
Okay. And when did you move to Frederick?
That was February of this year.
How far away is Frederick from Grayling Elementary School?
Oh, 12 minutes.
How far away is Grayling Elementary from your office?
2 blocks.
When was the marital home sold?
I want to say February 16th of this year. I had moved to Frederick about a week before the final closing.
And at or around the time that the marital home was listed for sale, did you make any effort or were you looking to obtain housing in Traverse City?
Yes, I couldn't afford it on a single income.
Was anyone assisting you with looking for housing?
I did have our realtor at the time looking for me.
And so financially, you weren't able
Was
to
not
do anything?
feasible.
Okay.
No. And the wait list for the income base was about 2 years out.
And why did you choose to relocate to Frederick?
My current significant other lives out here.
How long, what's his name?
Jason LeDuc,
How long have you and Jason been together?
September of last year.
Where are you currently residing in Frederick?
You want the exact address?
Yes.